flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if I could ask anybody that's calling in, would you please mute your lines, because we're already picking up some feedback and we don't want to have to deal with that problem again. So if anybody that's not talking, please mute your lines. We have, in just the way the meeting ran the last time we closed the warrant, we failed to set the date. We did have the date set for December 6th. So with that, I would entertain a motion.
Motion for set the date December 6, 2021 to open special town meeting.
At the high school at 7:00 p.m.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
A motion's been made and seconded by the board. Is there any conversation, any comments by the board members? Scott, anything?
Nope.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The last conversation we had, the meeting was going to be in November. So I know that emails going back and forth with Bill Rowe agreed with that. And so this December 6th meeting date is new.
Right, and I thought, and I apologize. I will take that the communications that went back and forth if we missed anyone. We did have a meeting. The town manager met with Bill Rowe, where that time frame actually was not required to be so close because the revenues had come in better. So he was in a position where that November date wasn't, really the deadline. So we also met with the chair and the vice chair and the moderator, the chair of FinCom and the vice chair and the moderator, and discussed everything, and to get all the information to the finance committee, and for the moderator to get it scheduled to the rules committee in a timely manner when all the boards will have the information, enough time to review it adequately. Everybody did agree that the best date would be December 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No further questions.
Mr. Gito?
No questions.
Mr. Cavey?
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to respond about. And, just to begin with, I wasn't sure exactly how this meeting was going to start. But I did feel confident that regardless of what motion was made, I was going to vote for it. I think we need town meeting to get going. I do have concerns about the later date. We have a number of articles that are really critical to our town, but some of them have enough, I guess we'll say, controversy about them, especially with regard to spending, that losing a couple of votes because people are agitated given the time of year that they're going to this, or if they have other things on their mind, which tends to be true between Thanksgiving and Christmas time. I do fear losing votes out of frustration or people not showing up, and us losing those margins, the 2/3 number of the count of votes that we need for some of these articles that are really critical. We really need the town to look at. My understanding is that the reason for changing the date, pushing it out a little bit further, is based on communications that we received from the chair of the finance committee and also the moderator asking for some additional time. And I definitely respect their request for that. But I also would say that the way that our charter handles this, they lay out the time frame. They tell whoever voted on this agreed that the time frames that were provided in the charter were sufficient time for them to do their work.
Right.
That article was updated numerous times from 1975, 1980, 1981, 1990, 1991, 2001, and 2002. all of these time periods had the same kind of constraints that we have, some even more severe. You couldn't do virtual meetings back then. You couldn't do any, it was difficult to email and send digital files. And so if these committees felt that they could sufficiently complete the work during those time periods, I do grow concerned that there really isn't sufficient justification for needing more time now. Additionally, if these groups really do need additional time, then that seems to me like it really should be a change to the charter and not have this level of informality about it. Because in the future, this is going to continue to be the case. So those are my chief concerns. I do definitely want to express them, but any motion that came forward, I was going to vote for. There's no reason to hold this up based on those objections, but it is something I think that we have to seriously be concerned about. Thank you.
Okay, Scott, you wanted to respond?
Yeah, I think the dates work good because it is away from 2 holidays. I think a lot of people are going to be going away this Thanksgiving because July 4th was kind of a cold time. They didn't get to do what they really wanted, even though we did get to have a decent parade. But I think they're concerned about COVID. They don't know what's going to happen at Christmas. Thanksgiving's more important than Christmas. People don't mind staying home at Christmas. But the whole thing is, there's some very important things on this special that got voted to be put on there that needs to be vetted properly in time. I don't think we need to change our charter to shorten timing. Timing is given to these committees because there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be talked about. Even though we did talk about the zoning prior, people don't retain a lot of that. That's some heavy stuff that they're gonna vet again all over again. It's going to get re-explained. The housing trust, very important, needs to be, brought along, like not at a child's pace, but at a pace that everybody's going to understand it. I just thought that this date works good. Nobody's going to be panicky. I don't think we're going to miss any votes because people should be around that week. They'll start their plans a week later and stuff like that. I agree with these dates. I think, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, they were going to be like 6, 8, and like the 13th if we have to go forward that far, right?
Right. It was the Monday, then Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I believe, and hopefully, if we don't have to go further than that.
Do you need that in the motion so that if we use those dates, they're proper too? Or
Well, I don't think so because that'll be the beginning of town meeting. We're setting the beginning.
yeah, we just start it
Yeah.
and go and close it when we're over.
And this was, Stephen, I agree with you, that there's some, some issues that'll be debated and they'll be hotly debated. And, but again, this was, with the conversation of the chair, the vice chair of the finance committee and the moderator, that this was a date that worked. So I think when town meeting reps know that this is something we did together, this wasn't the selectmen, the select board just blindly, setting a date. We did this, with the cooperation of the chair, vice chair, and the moderator to be able to give them time to fully vet the articles so that when they go to town meeting, they're able to give a recommendation up or down, whichever they decide to do, and then town meeting will know that it went through a proper process. And, this kind of the waters were muddied because we had the first whole thing of it being that, the moderator, which got that the accountant needed this pretty quick. And that's when people were really freaking out because the time to get everything in would have been streamlined. And there would be people that would think it wasn't vetted properly because we stuffed it down their throat. So I think this is the better of the two. It's Stoughton being Stoughton. I know we're going to have, we're going to be on our A game on how we present these articles as select board members. And we need to give as much data and background as we can and be ready to give town meeting reps, a good presentation as to why they're here. So, all right. So hearing no other issues of the board, any comments? So I will call for a vote. On the vote, Mr. Gito,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Carrara,
Yes.
Mr. Cavey,
Yes.
and the chair votes in favor. So with that, there is no new business on, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So made.
Second.
Motion made by Scott, seconded by Ms. Roberts. On the motion, Mr. Cavey,
Yes.
Mr. Carrara,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Gito,
Yes.
and the chair votes in favor. Thank you to my colleagues for taking your time out of your schedule. Thank you, people at home that have logged in. And I'd like to thank the chair, Vaughn Anokian, the vice chair, John Anzavino of the Finance Committee, and Bob Mullen, the town moderator, for taking the time to meet with us and having a very good conversation that came up with this date. Thank you all, and good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Thanks so much.
Good night.
Thank you all. Good night.
Night, Deborah. Bye.
Good
Rob.
night. Bye.
Everybody.